Okay guys, welcome back to a new video and a new country, Slovenia. I'm really excited to share this country with you guys because it's somewhere that not a lot of people come to. But so far, I mean, what I can tell you is it's very underrated. Thank you. I have an immense praise and So everything in Ljubljana is kind of surrounded by the river Ljubljana or something like that. And up there you can see Ljubljana Castle, which we're actually going to go to. I'm not sure how long it will take. I think the guy said about 20 minutes to walk. You can also get a funicular line. I'm not going to do that because I think the funicular line and the ticket to get into the castle itself is like 20 euros altogether, and I just don't want to pay that much, so I'd rather walk it myself. Good exercise, and the weather here is perfect. It's like 19 degrees, it's mid-April, and over the next few days it's just going to get hotter here in Slovenia, so I'm really excited for the weather as well. So I have been walking for around 5 minutes, and in these 5 minutes I've kind of come to the end of what they call the historical town. So the historical town is surrounded by the river, but in the historical town no cars are allowed. So as soon as you get to cars, that's where you know that you're kind of outside of the circle of the historical town. So one thing they do here are the boat tours. So you can actually get a boat tour down the river. I have heard it's actually one of the main things to do here in Ljubljana. So we might do it. If I do, it will be on my second day here in Ljubljana because I think it was like 13 euros. So it's not cheap, but it's an experience, I guess, isn't it? So first thing that you'll kind of notice about Ljubljana, Slovenia in general, is it's very clean, and people here really, I think, respect the fact that it's clean. There are bins everywhere, and people will go out of their way to find a bin so as to maintain the cleanliness of the city and the country, and it's really nice. The other thing that is very noticeable is you've got people kind of hemophiliacs. I'm not sure if that's acceptable to say anymore. Kind of their stories all along here, which is nice. The other thing that you'll notice about here in Slovenia is there's construction everywhere. I mean, to be honest with you, all their buildings look new. Everything looks pristine, so even though that's actually the first building that I've seen that it looks old, the rest of them, to be honest, are all recently painted, they're recently made. It's really well kept. It's beautiful. Okay, so I'm kind of walking down this dodgy route, but it looked nice. I feel like it's residential. I probably shouldn't be filming, but it's quite nice. Leads onto a shopping street. So today is actually Eid, so Eid Mubarak to everyone watching. So I actually flew in this morning, but what it has meant is that for the past 30 days I haven't actually eaten, so I don't have a stomach. My stomach is about the size of that at the moment, so I don't have an appetite because I haven't eaten for so long. Now, oh, this is nice, very residential. So I'm not actually hungry, but what I do really badly need is coffee. So we're gonna go to this pastry shop that I've seen. I feel like I'm very residential now. I should probably go back down. So I'm gonna go and get coffee and a pastry because I haven't eaten, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Then we're probably gonna go to the Ljubljana Castle. So this is that shopping street where they've got loads of shops, some of them vintage, some of them new fashion, lots of gelato places and coffee places, because obviously Slovenia is next to Italy, so there's a very big influence from Italy, and as I mentioned before, they were under Italian occupation for a few years, I think post World War II, or during World War II actually. So another thing that Slovenia is famous for is wine tasting, I think. Yes, so this is free wine tasting. I obviously don't drink, so I'm not going to try that, but they do give it, and it is something which people come here for because they have a lot of greenery, and so therefore they've got a lot of vineyards and they make a lot of wine here as well. There's regions of Slovenia that are basically effectively the same landscape and kind of known as Tuscany of Slovenia, or the Tuscany of not Italy. Okay, this is the place that I wanted to come to. TikTok, what can I say? Fetish, like peacock? Looks like peacock. Oh, that's really nice. That looks amazing. My phone ruins that aesthetic. This is my first coffee in a month. I thought that was really good. If you guys are new to the channel by any chance, my name is Amir and I make travel vlogs from all across the world. To be honest, mostly outside of Europe. I kind of have a rule where I don't really like to go to Europe. I think my stance is changing a little bit because there are places in Europe which are very underrated, very underdiscovered. But nevertheless, if you are new here, please subscribe. It helps to encourage me to make more videos and it supports the channel. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back, everybody. So a little bit about Ljubljana, spelt Ljubljana, but it's pronounced Ljubljana. It is obviously the capital of Slovenia. Slovenia is a relatively new country, kind of like the Stans when we went to Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. It was only formed in 1991. However, it has a long-standing history. And what I'm actually doing right now, and you'll see later on in the videos, I'm walking to the Ljubljana Castle, right on the hill. So I'm going to kind of stop and talk to you guys, otherwise I'm going to get out of breath. So Ljubljana, it's going to take some work. Ljubljana was initially, for many years, from around the 12th century all the way up until World War I in 1918. It was part of the Austro-Hungarian, the Habsburg rule, which was part of the Austro-Hungarian rule. After that, in 1918, it then became part of Yugoslavia. And during that period, up until 1991, it was part of Yugoslavia. For a brief period, it was under annexation of Italy for a few years in World War II. And obviously, it was a de facto annexation by the Nazis as well. So there's a lot of influence here from Italy, Austria, and Hungary, all of which I have been to rather conveniently. So you can definitely see the influence here in the townhouses. You can see, God, I'm really out of breath. If you guys are new here, this whole thing of me out of breath, this is not new, yeah? Some of us have asthma. But anyway, you can see the influence and it's really nice to see because it almost puts all the parts together, which is why I really on this channel I love to encourage you guys to come to different parts of Europe, come to different parts of the world and see how the world fits together, see how history molds a country, not just go to Ibiza or wherever, which is also great, but you know, there's more to the world. Anyway, so I went back to the hostel to grab my jumper because it was a little bit cool. It's around 19 degrees today here on this hike, but it's quite warm, and to be honest, I didn't really need to bring it, but I did, and now I'm hot because it's around my neck. Ooh, bugs. So Ljubljana is definitely a very livable city. It's a beautiful city actually. It's not very, well, I don't want to say not disabled friendly, but there's a lot of walking. Even from the bus station to the city centre, it's around 15-minute walk, so it's not necessarily that accessible if you need accessibility help. However, it is still a very livable and beautiful city, and I think we're almost here at the castle, so that wasn't very long at all. Here it is, guys. Oh god, I'm out of breath. Right, now you can go inside the castle. I'm actually not going to do that because I'll check how much the entrance price is for you guys, but there's also the castle in Bled, which I've heard is definitely worth going to and paying for. So that I'm going to do. This one, I mean, you kind of come up here for the views. I'm not at the top yet, but if you get the views, that's the main part. I don't really think it's a necessity to go inside the castle from what I've heard. Okay, so going inside the castle is 12 euros. And you can also have the funicular line, which you also have to pay extra for. But to be honest, you can walk it very easily if you are fit and able adult, and I think you should, to be honest. It's just better to do that. So whilst we're here walking around the Ljubljana Castle, let's talk about the arrival here into Ljubljana. It's not a very populated place, it's not a very populated country, the airport is not very busy. Cash, really, really important. I'm going to talk about cash. The best way to get from the airport to your hotel, hostel, wherever in the city centre is to get a public bus. You can get a shuttle bus that costs 10 to 12 euros, or you can get a private taxi that will probably cost you at least 30 euros. The bus costs 3.70 euros, so around 4 euros. Now, I looked up many times and I tried to find out, does the payment need to be in cash? Because I've also heard here in Slovenia, they're very modern. They don't really use cash. It's card everywhere, contactless everywhere. So I was unsure basically. So I thought I need to take out cash anyway. So there's an ATM within the airport and there's an ATM outside of the airport, just outside the terminal. The one inside charges you a 6 euros transaction fee. The one outside charges you a 4 euros transaction fee. I thought I needed cash. I was just scared that I would get rejected on the bus basically. So I took out cash and it charged me 4 euros, which is such a waste of money. And I'm so annoyed that I did that, but I did it. They accept card on the public buses. It's the easiest way to get to the city centre and they accept card. So don't worry about getting out cash. The other thing that's worth noting is that Ljubljana airport does not have a foreign exchange rate. So if you want to exchange pounds, they don't have that in the airport. So just bear that in mind as well. The other thing about taking the bus, and I don't know if you'd get this if you took a private taxi, is the bus goes through local villages, which is so nice. And I mentioned it in my first impressions, but it's just such a nice experience to just drive through the villages and just see how most people in Slovenia actually live, because most people don't actually live here in Ljubljana. They live everywhere else in the country. So definitely I think it's worth it to get the bus because you go through the villages. But if you do prefer to get a private taxi, it would cost you around 30 euros to do that, which to be honest I think is a bit expensive, but it's Europe. So I kind of find myself in a local market here, mainly selling ladies' clothes, but also selling fruit and vegetable as well in the square here. I've heard that this is, I'm not sure if this is the Ljubljana market, which is busy on a Friday, but today's a Wednesday and it's still open, which is really nice. So just to give you guys a scale of everything as well, so this is that market I was talking about. Up there's the Ljubljana Castle, over here's the Dragon Bridge, and then you're kind of at the end of the old city, and everything is within 10 minutes. So it's very walkable, very friendly city. But because of that, to be honest, I read this when I was coming here, you don't need more than 24 hours here. You can obviously take your time here, relax in the cafes, but in terms of if you want to see everything that needs to be seen here in the city, 24 hours is perfect. One other thing about Ljubljana is they are very big on drinking water and tap water, and so they have stations where you can fill up your water bottles everywhere in the city, which is really nice. Reminds me of Rome. And here is the Ljubljana River. Right, so that bridge there is the Dragon Bridge, which we're going to go see in a second. Yeah, let me take you guys there. One other thing of which I really want to praise Slovenia for, and this is one thing which I really try to encourage on my channel. Granted, I just came from Austria being a very heavy Zionist state, but Slovenia recently, along with Indonesia, they brought a case to the ICJ basically about the apartheid state being an apartheid state, and for that I have an immense praise, and I think we should be supporting countries like that, countries like South Africa, Indonesia, Slovenia, you know, countries who are standing up for justice. And what you can see on the wall there, "Stop Bombs on Gaza," is exactly that.
Hey!
Where are you from?
Italian dream. Italian.
Italia. Ah, Italia. Where Italia?
Modena, Bologna.
Bologna. Okay. Nice. Nice to
Are
meet
you
you.
vlogging for YouTube?
Yes.
Hi YouTube.
Hi YouTube.
Hi YouTube. How are you from?
London. London.
Nice.
We say hi,
nice.
London. Anyway, they were nice. Okay, "Stop Bombs on Gaza." Okay, so I've kind of come down towards the underside of the Dragon Bridge because basically there's just school trips everywhere and you can't vlog anywhere without a group of Italian or Spanish or students from Hungary or Slovakia or wherever, and it's beautiful to see, but all of them are kind of just keep looking at the camera and disturbing you, or just, anyway, it's entertaining, but whatever. So this Dragon Bridge is extremely famous, having the 4 dragons, which is the national symbol of Ljubljana. I'm still having to think really hard about not saying Ljubljana. But you'll see dragons everywhere, and some of them are really cool. Lots of art, graffiti, architecture, but it's very artsy and it works. Tercares. If somebody knows what these things are on the streets, please let me know, because they're all different shapes and sizes and different arts, but I don't know what any of them mean. Okay, so I guess first impressions of Ljubljana and of Slovenia in general. So going from the airport to the city centre, you can actually get a really good vibe of the country. The countryside is absolutely stunning. The nature here is beautiful. It's so green, it's clean. The houses are very, very big. There's all detached houses, 3 stories, and they look like kind of your typical, you know, Snow White. I don't know, it just reminds me of Snow White. I feel like that's what Slovenia is. On the way to from the bus station, it's around a 10-minute walk, and you will pass via this is the Vernakova's house, which is actually now a building and bank society, but it's just a very famous building here in Slovenia. But I mean, the architecture is beautiful, the nature is beautiful, it's very clean. Slovenia is not a very populated country at all, hence you will be able to see it's not very busy. Most of the people in the square are school trips and they're tourists from that, but Ljubljana itself, only around 300,000 people live in the city, which I don't know. I don't know how it would work in terms of kind of like ratios, but for me that seems like such a small amount for a capital city. But I suppose given that the population is 2.1 million, maybe that's proportionate to, say, the UK. I'm not sure, someone can let me know down below in the comments. But it's not populated at all, and so it's really, really nice to walk through because there's lots of space and it's just not busy, it's not overcrowded. So this is it, this is the main square. So we just came from this church, which I think is called Francesca Church of Ammunition, not ammunition, something. This is a statue of Prešeren, who is a famous romantic Slovenian poet in the 19th century. And that's about it of the square, and they've got this famous 3 bridges as well, and you can see up there Ljubljana Castle, so everything really you can see. And I've heard there's an amazing atmosphere at night. By the way, the water here is so clean, so pristine. That's it, this is Slovenia, Ljubljana. So what we're going to do now, these are your triple bridges, that's the main square here in Ljubljana. What I'm going to do now is go to this famous gelato place, which you can see over there, called Vigo. They've got a few of them here in Ljubljana, so I'm going to try that because it's been recommended by the TikTok people. Okay, so I'm on my way to Tivoli Park, which is a nice park here in Ljubljana. This is quite interesting actually. This is the first Ukrainian flag I've actually seen here in Slovenia, and rather funnily, it's matched with a British United Kingdom flag. What I have seen more of, however, are banners, and please let me know what this says, Dostiai. But I've seen more banners that say Free Palestine than I have about Ukraine, which is interesting. Having said that, I feel like this is the Slovenian parliament and there is a Ukrainian flag there. So, I mean, it's interesting nevertheless, but if this is the parliament, right outside the parliament are Palestinian flags everywhere. So it's very, very interesting to see the contrast here between Slovenia and other European countries. The reason why I think that's quite funny is, if you don't know, there was a peace agreement in August of 2022 that was between Russia and Ukraine, and it was actually the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson who blocked that deal, and where is he now? So anyway. Okay, I'm almost at Tivoli Park, but I keep stopping. This is another church which looks beautiful. Looks very Orthodox, isn't it? I'm gonna try and go inside. I'm going in a lot of churches considering it's Eid. So I don't know why I didn't bring the GoPro, because now I'm just vlogging on my phone, which is a bit annoying. So I was talking to the priest inside for about half an hour. So he's actually from Bosnia, but he is a Serbian Orthodox Christian. And he said that this church here is the only Orthodox Christian church in Slovenia. And you can kind of tell, I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of Bulgaria. It's very similar to that kind of style, so more Byzantine, kind of what their churches look like. And he was saying this is the only one in Slovenia, because in Slovenia they are Catholics, and there's very few who are Orthodox. But then how the Orthodox Church works is they each answer to a different region. So whilst the religion is the same as Russian Orthodox, he kind of answers to Belgrade in Serbia, which is really interesting anyway. So yeah, it's a beautiful church inside, definitely check it out. It's near the Tivoli Park if you are here. Okay, I've come to this place called Pop's Pizza, and I got a margarita because I'm a basic biatch. Right, we are all done with dinner, and welcome to Ljubljana at night. You can see up there the Ljubljana Castle. First, we are going to this famous gelato place called Gelateria Romantica. Okay, here it is. Thank you. Okay, so I got stracciatella with fresh mint and coffee. You can see there's an atmosphere on the street, kind of a bit too much atmosphere maybe. Okay. Very much like Italy, people kind of eating on the streets, particularly when it's getting hotter nowadays, and it's, about 24 degrees it was today, so people are eating on the streets as well. That's my ice cream. It's probably worth noting as well, just to say actually, just whilst it's on my mind, most of the people that come here in terms of tourism are French, Hungarian and German. Very, very few British people actually here in Slovenia, which maybe is a good thing for them. They probably don't like Brits. So as you'll be able to see, most of the restaurants, even on this side, but more so on that side, which is where my hostel is, like right in the middle of it actually. You can see up there is Ljubljana Castle. I mean, you probably can't, but it's there. And the atmosphere is just along the river, really. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's a really, really nice city, actually. I'm gonna say this. I won't put the flash on because then everyone can kind of see my face. It's a bit exposé. It's probably not the right word. Anyway, if you are looking for somewhere to go for the weekend, for a nice weekend in the summer, this is your place. 2 days. Even 2 days is too much, but 2 days. Good atmosphere. One thing I also want to take the opportunity to say about Ljubljana is, as well as being incredibly clean and the water being clean, it is so safe. I feel so safe, and I think if you're a solo female traveller, you will literally feel so extremely safe in the city and the country as a whole. It's so nice.